Do you see this? You see this?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'd like to call this January 6th, 2020 City Commission meeting of the City of Benton Harbor to order. We have Pastor Lynch, who's present with Pilgrim Rest, Missionary Baptist Church. Would you please lead the invocation?
Lord, thank you for your grace and your mercy. Thank you for allowing us to see a brand new year. Thank you for a brand new decade. Now, God, I pray, God, for a special blessing and special grace upon this commission. I pray for the leadership of this city. I pray, God, that you will give them the same wisdom that Solomon prayed for. I pray tonight that you grant it to them. Bless our city, bless our community, bless every neighborhood. Bless tonight's gathering. In Jesus' name, amen.
United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This was a man. City manager.
No, he didn't.
I already know.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Edwards.
President.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Present.
Commissioner Henderson. Here. Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
President.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
President.
Commissioner Singleton.
President.
Mayor Brown.
Present. Is there a motion for the approval of the regular minutes of December 16, 2019?
So move.
Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson and supported by Commissioner Adams. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Smith.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
I would like to take this moment just to recognize the audience with us today. We have the Township Supervisor, Mrs. Kathy Yates. And we also have the Mayor of St. Joseph, Michigan, Mr. Mayor Gary. Is there a motion for the approval of accounts payable listing?
Motion to approve.
All due respect, Honorable Mayor.
There's a motion
Support.
made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
I would ask that the recycle payment be separated.
from all the other payments that will be made tonight. Being that we have about 5 or 6 documents, we definitely need to know, per the attorney, who needs to receive the paycheck. I mean, we got several different, we got 5 different documents about WeCycle. We need to know what the check needs to go to. Before we end up in the same situation we went through before, I put an amendment to the accounts payable, that we separate that from the accounts payable. Thank you all.
Madam Clerk. So we'll handle the first part of accounts payable with the exception of recycle, industrial sanitation. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes the third ward commissioner, Commissioner Henry.
I just need to know about check number 72152. And what exactly was that for? Was it for the flood repair, or was just lighting, or what? What happened over there in that area?
Could you please repeat that number?
72152. Second page. I mean, on his first page. Is that street lighting that was replaced? What seemed to, did the water damage it? Did the flood damage it? What happened?
Commissioner, we'll get that answer for you and send it to you.
Thank you.
So this first vote will be on all expenditures with the exception of recycle. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams,
With the exception.
Okay. Yes, with the exception of recycling.
Commissioner Henry,
No.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad,
Yes.
motion carries.
The second expenditure has been separated by Mayor Pro Tem seats. Is there a discussion? Chair recognizes, we need a motion.
Make a motion to approve or suspend, whatever y'all want to do. But I'll make a motion to
It's approved.
approve. I apologize, I'm on there.
Support.
Motion is made by Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem seats and supported by Commissioner Singleton. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem seats.
Yes, Honorable Mayor, due to what came across all of our desks on Friday and Saturday, it still seems to be a misconception of who's supposed to get what. You got Marion County Sheriff involved, you got the prosecutor involved, and then you have individual. Do I have the floor on this?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. We still have a problem because a letter shows up with no letterhead, no notary, no attorney. And as far as the last thousands of dollars that we still have not seen, are still supposedly suspended, they're still under investigation. we had a situation where we weren't getting trash picked up. We had to hurry up and fast track a check to another individual who said not to get money, but they picked up trash. We need to know, far as from our attorney or whoever, before we relinquish more money into this pothole or this letter that honestly was in all capital letters and didn't have 3 signatures on it, only had 2, with no attorney. We need to know from the attorney, from the county, from whoever, before we relinquish, and we also need to know accounts, who paid what. We still have not received who paid what, from who, and what was being paid. From what I'm hearing is bare bones. And I refuse to allow the city residents to go through the same thing that we went through with trash on the street, trying to get people with 2 men in the truck to pick up trash. That's unacceptable. So either we figure it out or we move on. It's not our responsibility to handle internal matters, but it's not our responsibility to fund them either. So if people can't get it together, we need to do what was doing before. Maybe thank God for the former city manager who's here. Whether you like it or not, he didn't get juiced for $39,000. So let's speak on that. And I need to know who, after we approve this check, is going to pick it up. That's it. That's all. Because if somebody picks up the check and ain't no trash being picked up and it's already being investigated by the prosecutor, I wish he was here tonight.
Chair recognizes the second ward commissioner, Commissioner Evans.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. My question right now would be, was there a 30-day get it together mandate? And if it was, when does that date end? And when it ends, what are we supposed to do if they still don't have it together? Give them another 30?
In your packet, Commissioner Edwards, is a response from We Cycle Industrial Sanitation with the authorized signature of the designee that's on the contract. So if you check your packet, there's a response
Yeah, I made it.
to the breaches alleged by the city. So if you could reference that response, then that should perhaps give some clarity. The city attorney will have to look at the responses as well, as well as the city manager, to see if there are any deficiencies or issues that have not been resolved based upon the letter. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Honorable Mayor, just a question to the chair and to the city manager. After we held that special vote to give them a cash advance, who did that check go to?
That's why we need a finance director.
Point of order, that check was issued.
Now, Moran should be.
Can we,
Point of order, sir, please. That check was issued to the only authorized member and manager that's on the city contract, which is Robert Edwards. Yes, sir.
so Honorable Mayor, with all due respect, if that was the case then, I think that should be the case now. I would just like to give a directive that the check be paid to the right owner. And if they are having internal issues, it's none of our business. let them fight it out in court, but give Mr. Edwards the check. Being that the trash did get picked up, not by a third party, not by a fourth party, not by somebody going to rent a truck, but the person who's been handling the business for the last 3-4 years. If we can put that in a directive, Honorable Mayor, I don't have a problem with supporting it. But I'm not supporting somebody just coming and bringing something and we just say, yeah, let's do it. It's a directive. Because going back, the accountant did not want to give the check up, but had a directive to give the check up. So if we're gonna give a directive to pay the people who are picking up the trash out there, I can't support anything else. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. What is our legal service saying about this situation? We should have some kind of comment from our legal, and I'd like through the chair to answer our questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry. I just would add, prior to the response of the city attorney, the city contract with Recycle Industrial Sanitation is in your packet. And if you reference it, there are 4 signatures. The Office of the Mayor, Office of the City Manager, Office of the City Clerk, and it says Recycle Industrial Sanitation LLC by Robert Edwards, its authorized member and manager. So based upon what the city has signed and voted on, I think that our obligation is to what we have gone into agreement with, but I will yield to the city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have not been asked this question prior to the open session of the meeting tonight. As alluded to by Commissioner Seats, you do have what appears to be 2 conflicting resolutions. I believe that the first resolution that you have regarding appointing Mr. Edwards as the signator is or was binding at that point in time. I do not have enough information to determine whether or not the second resolution, which I think is January 2nd, is binding or valid at all. I cannot make a determination from that resolution as indicated by Commissioner Seats. It doesn't have a lot of information on it. So I am what I would call skeptical of that resolution, changing the prior resolution.
It's a point of clarity. It's not a resolution.
Appointing Mr. Edwards as the designated party that's able to sign documents on behalf of Lisa.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Just as a point of clarity, Honorable Mayor, the letter that he's referring to is not a resolution. It's a letter that we received. We didn't vote on nothing from January 2nd. That was a letter that said that Mr. Edwards will no longer be able to receive a check.
And that's one, I'm sorry.
That's not a resolution, that's a letter that we received with nothing. I mean, with no notarization, no letterhead, no nothing. So what I'm saying is we're going back to this binding document that got 4 signatures that says that, because what's gonna happen is we're gonna release this check, and no trash is gonna get picked up, and then we're gonna be having an emergency meeting next Monday. And I'm gonna say this like I said this 4 years ago. I told y'all so.
Chair recognizes the city attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have any of that backup information in my packet that I received last Friday, but I believe I understand what Commissioner Seats is asking about, if it was in all caps. I think it had a date of January 2nd on it. I think the intent of that document was to be a resolution because it is not in a letter format. So maybe I'm using that commentary of a resolution pretty generically, but I think the intent of it was to be some form of a resolution. And as I said before, and I will say again, I'm very skeptical, and I cannot confirm whether or not that has any binding impact on the Recycle Industrial LLC.
So as far as we know, we have the agreement that we know is to be solid is what we currently have in this contract.
That's what you currently have here.
So is there a motion?
I make a motion to pay Robert Edwards, Recycle Industrial Sanitation LLC, the check,
Is there a
picking
second?
up trash.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
That's, we already did this motion in the last meeting. Continue what we already approved.
No,
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Season.
there seems to be a problem, and with all due respect, Commissioner Singleton, there seems to be a problem where this keeps reoccurring and meetings keep being had about trash that don't need to be being had. If somebody's picking it up and they have a contract, let them be. And if they have if AEP having internal issues, or Abby Marshall, whoever having internal issues, then we let them handle their business.
I think,
But somebody need to pick up the check, and the one who's taking care of the business needs to pick up the check.
I agree with you. I think we were saying the same thing because we already did that. Didn't we, Mayor, did you present a motion?
I had a conversation with the city manager regarding the issuance of the check, and based on the contract that the city is in agreement on with Mr. Edwards as the authorized member and manager. And he was in agreement and issued the check to Mr. Edwards.
So it wasn't in the resolution last time that we said.
It was not done in the directive, but you know,
Okay,
I
so
would just ask the city manager to weigh in terms of, you know, just his perspective. Sure.
Mr. Mayor and Commission, at your meeting in November, you voted to award a check to Recycle. Mr. Edwards received that check, and you gave him 30 days to come back, give the status of his business, and notify you would he be picking up trash.
What's the status?
Chair,
You have to ask him now.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
I'm gonna go right back to our attorney, that he got information, possibly the letter that came in. If he got the package and you didn't do any research on any of this and you didn't know that it was coming up, and we don't get an answer, a solid answer from you, I would say, let's do what we already voted on and ask the city attorney to please give us a solid answer on what's going on. It sounds like it's legal, and you are our legal counsel. So you should be in part of this. And you should be able to give us a solid answer of where the city stands or where the city should go. And in the meantime, let's get on, pay the bill, and let them fight it out.
That's their business.
Sure. Just for clarity. Just for point.
I do want to yield to the city attorney. This information, a lot of this packet, you know, is coming from really all over the place. So I think that the attorney, which I applaud what you're saying, that it definitely needs to be placed on the attorney's desk. He has been in meetings with Mr. Mitchell, Recycle, so he's not removed from the process. However, you know, some of these things are being, from what I understand, thrown on him tonight And if he's going to give us a sound, legal counsel, then I would, I think that he should be afforded the time to study and review and come back to us. Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't think I could have said it any better. Yes, if I get a complete packet and a question or a set of questions, I'll be more than happy to attempt to address those on behalf of the city commission by way of an attorney opinion. And I would need that. As I said, some of this information that's coming out tonight, for instance, the response letter from Lee Cycle, I didn't see until I just was presented it this evening by the clerk. So I am trying to keep up with all of the information. I am in constant contact with the county prosecutor. He is obtaining information. I am exchanging information with him. I just haven't been asked for this evening to comment on the legality of the matter regarding who is authorized to pick up the check.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the expenditure with the stipulation that the check be cut to Mr. Robert Edwards.
Support.
Supported, a motion is made by the mayor, supported by Commissioner Henderson. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
No, your name, Mary Allen? Your name, Commissioner Adams?
Chair recognizes.
Due to conflict of interest, no.
no, abstain.
Abstain.
Abstain, Commissioner Adams. Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
No.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
No.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to a presentation of the Twin Cities Sustainable Harbor Revitalization Project. Those presenters, please identify yourself by name and the organization that you currently represent. Our Community Economic Development Director, Mrs. Tracy Jennings, will begin.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioner. Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commission. I have with me this evening Emily Fennell, who is going to give us the Cliff Notes version of the presentation in regards to the Twin Cities Sustainable Harbor Revitalization, this project, and the ask that is before the commission this evening.
Thank you, commissioners. Thank you for the opportunity to speak with you this evening. I appreciate your time. I understand you have a very busy agenda. So my name is Emily Fennell. I'm the senior advisor with the Office of the Great Lakes, part of the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy.
For the sake of recording, if you could maybe use the finance director mic and then maybe have, or if she can go here, and then maybe if we can have some help with the slides.
Okay.
Is that possible?
Sure, we'll make it.
We should start over.
Please.
Introduce it.
Commissioner Adams has requested if you could start over.
Sure. Can everyone hear me?
Could you put 15, please?
My name is Emily Fennell. I am the senior advisor and strategist with the Office of the Great Lakes, which is part of the Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy. Thank you so much for the time tonight to provide you a briefing on the findings of the Twin Cities Sustainable Harbor Revitalization Initiative. I appreciate your time and I understand you have a full agenda. So we are going to do a condensed version of this presentation. I wanted to let all of the commissioners know that you have a full set of the slides of the full presentation. We will also make it available in a hard copy through Tracy within her office for anyone who's interested in looking at a hard copy of all of the slides. And we'll post it to the project website, so it will be available electronically. we wanted to make sure that the commissioners had a chance to see these slides first. I also wanted to let you know that earlier today at noon, we gave the same presentation to the Charter Township of St. Joseph for their Board of Trustees. So they have also seen these slides and have the same presentation. We will be in the city of St. Joseph on Monday, January 13th at 6 p.m. Presenting the same presentation to their full commission as well. So we will, Tracy and I will coordinate as best as we can. We have a number of slides, so thank you for your patience as we try to communicate with each other to move through these slides fairly quickly. I also wanted to let the commissioners know that we have given you some 11 by 17 full color copies of the Twin Cities Sustainable Harbor 2040 vision. That is version 5, the results of the 18-month community engagement process that has been undertaken over the last period of time. There are 2 handouts that same size. One is the 2040 vision. The second handout, you'll notice, has, I believe, 6 locations identified with some small renderings. Those full renderings are what you have been provided in the full PowerPoint presentation, and then we'll be making those publicly available on the website. I think the larger slide deck is already online, so many of those pieces have already been shared. So with that, I'll jump into our slides and happy to take any questions after we get through this information. So the main goals for the initiative are really to focus on providing collaborative opportunity for the communities of both the cities of Benton Harbor, St. Joseph, and St. Joe Charter Township to revitalize the harbor and the adjacent surrounding waterfront areas and help facilitate a process for the communities to come together to identify some long-term sustainable strategies that really maximize the benefits of the harbor, integrating the harbor as a strategic asset for your communities and quality of life and overall well-being of all 3 communities surrounding the harbor. Next slide. So as you're all aware, many planning efforts have been undertaken in the last several years, looking at opportunities to maximize all of the surrounding properties around the harbor. I won't spend a lot of time on those, but did want to note the previous 2015 study that was sponsored by the city of Benton Harbor, Andrews University and Southwest Michigan Planning Commission, which was, I think, part of what brought the Office of the Great Lakes to your communities in the request by the Harbor Conservancy. To share some of our advice through the Office of the Great Lakes and our partners with Dr. Don Carpenter, my colleague in the back of the room. Dr. Don Carpenter and I and Michigan Sea Grant and MSU Extension have worked in 8 other coastal communities and helping assist them in similar process, engaging communities and developing a long-term shared vision for their waterfront and really helping them identify ways to maximize their harbor and reconnect back to water. Thank you. So next slide. As I already mentioned, these are the project partners. Next slide. I'm going to skip ahead a number of slides. So the beginning of this effort started with an initial meeting in June of 2018, where members of each of the 3 communities helped develop and co-create an engagement process and identify key stakeholders and strategies for engaging members of your communities. We had previously presented to the commission and had a number of efforts to promote these opportunities to engage in your community, held a number of focus groups and technical meetings over that 18-month time. Next slide. So this is just, you also have a copy of this timeline. This is sort of an 18-month effort that's been undertaken. You can't read it from the back of the room, but these will be available online and you have a hard copy in front of you. And it just highlights some initial visioning sessions, design charrette back in September and October of 2018, and some additional community engagement in October of this year. And then you'll see these formal presentations that we're doing in each of the communities to the elected officials. So the findings, the community visioning and the community engagement efforts that were undertaken, these are 5 key themes that were reoccurring that we heard in all of the input sessions from the participants. So development, transportation, connectivity, in ecological, environmental health, and collaborative governance. So some of the key themes that we heard were very important were to make sure that the revitalization efforts helped to create job opportunities, provided opportunities for all residents in the community to engage with water resources, really preserve public access and accessibility to the waterfront for things like recreational fishing, family time, and connecting to the water. And then one of the key themes that came out of this effort was the need for some type of a collaborative governance process. So the two goals of the project really involved helping the communities come together to develop that future vision, and then also facilitating a process to identify some strategies for governing the harbor, opportunities to improve communication, coordination, and collaboration across the three communities that touch the waterfront in this area. This is the study area, about 760 acres or so. And you can see some large areas along Riverview Drive in the city of Benton Harbor, Inner and Outer Harbor, Marina Island, and Fisherman's Wharf. So fast forward to where we are now. Next slide, Christina. One more. So this is version 5 of the Twin Cities Sustainable Harbor Vision 2040. So if you think about this in terms of a large master planning effort for the communities involved, looking 20 years out, sort of at a big picture scale, what could the waterfront and the harbor look like, and how could that be envisioned? So this is the handout I mentioned that's in front of you, the 11 by 17. So you'll see the color coding for the different types of land uses, green being natural areas, some parks. I actually can't see the colors from here myself, but some mixed use development, some mixed housing, providing opportunities for entry level and professionals within the waterfront area. Next slide. So this next slide here shows a close-up of the City of Benton Harbor's properties, and this is another handout that you have in front of you. These are some smaller renderings of 6 different areas in the waterfront area. I'll just kind of identify them for the audience because it is a little difficult to see. Sort of in the upper left corner, one of the amenities that was identified throughout the planning process that we heard repeatedly was the desire for a grocery store. So we've designed and incorporated as one potential future use of that particular property, a market shed that could provide that grocery market space, and also some opportunity for entrepreneurialism, young incubator space. Another area is B, the Trailside Brew Pub. We also heard a lot of interest for additional entertainment opportunities in the Riverview Drive waterfront areas. So a Trailside Pub was identified and included there. I will note that all of the green areas that are sort of shaded olive green on the screen are greenways that connect. Some of them are existing now, but actually connect throughout these various properties to help people move throughout the community and have access to all these different places. C was some additional parking. Let's see, I have these others. Sorry, I'm very nearsighted, so I can hardly see this from over here. So brew pub, trail connection sites. On the upper right corner is a cultural center and event space, and that's also where there is some current open space in the community now, just across the street on Riverview Drive from the current park space. So we heard throughout the process that having some additional event space to bring people down to Riverview Drive, down to the waterfront, and kind of keep them there for different kinds of activities was important. The Riverview entire river walkway was extended and preserved for public access and improved with improved boardwalks, providing additional fishing opportunities. And all of these places were connected through signage and either biking, walking, or public transit opportunities. On the bottom portion, left hand is F. Hotel was envisioned there, something like the Spring Lake Holiday Inn, if you're familiar with that hotel that's just across from the drawbridge. So with that, skip forward to the next. We're going to skip through these renderings. There are a number of slides. As I said before, these will all be available online, and all the commissioners have a copy of each of these in your PowerPoint slides. So those are the renderings that were incorporated in the 2040 Twin Cities Sustainable Harbor Vision. There are some additional ones on the City of St. Joe's side that are in your packet. As part of this overall process, we are presenting the findings back to each of the communities to consider for next steps as they see fit in their implementation efforts for community revitalization. And with that, I'll turn it over to Tracy to share some thoughts about how some of these ideas that have been shared in this process for this project might get incorporated or could be considered in your community.
Thank you. So as this project concludes and Drummond and Carpenter and Eagle step away from this project and the onus is yet again placed on the different jurisdictions, as the city of Benton Harbor is embarking upon our complete master plan redo, our zoning and ordinance update, and our MEDC redevelopment ready certification process, this project and the findings therein would be a good basis for us to start with as we look at developing the harbor in that area along Riverview Drive. Also wanted to note that what our ask of the commission right now is for the consideration, and there is a resolution on the consent calendar for your approval tonight, for a meeting of the 3 municipalities jurisdictions that are involved in this project. So that's for the city of St. Joe, the city of Benton Harbor, and St. Joseph Township, and all elected officials and key staff to come together for a meeting to discuss what that governing body of this harbor will look like. We would like to have a collaborative meeting amongst all jurisdictions with the intent of building rapport and relationships and enhancing communication throughout each community. And so that is our immediate ask. Steps after that would be the formation of this governing body. And that governing body could potentially be composed of each community's chief elected official, highest level staff member, a member of at large, perhaps a planning commission member, a DDA member, harbor master, whomever, an alternate member, and then this body would be facilitated by an independent chair or an administrator. All we're asking for tonight is for your consideration of that collaborative meeting so that all elected officials could come together and could speak about and talk about vision, what this governing body could actually look like. There are some dates, and I'll make sure that we get this out to the group as well, that we're looking at for this collaborative meeting. And that's either January 22nd, January 28th, February 4th, or February 19th. We'll make sure we get these dates to you.
Does that conclude the presentation?
The only other thing I would add, as Tracy mentioned, the second part of this process related to what she was just discussing was helping the communities identify a harbor governing strategy moving forward. So there were 2 meetings held this fall, a first retreat with representatives from each of the communities' elected leadership, as well as a second meeting where 3 different options were discussed. And those are a joint planning advisory board, the Joint Planning Commission, and a harbor authority or harbor agency. And so what was discussed at that time was that these are options that need further investigation by the communities to come together to decide which option fits the community's needs. So the group that was participating as part of these governance meetings basically made a recommendation of forming a work group across each 3 of the 3 communities with equal representation to do that study and do that investigation.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Point of order.
She said she was gonna take questions. She said that she was gonna take some questions.
Mr. Haywood.
Okay, she said she was gonna take some questions.
Mr. Haywood.
Okay, she said she would take questions.
Thank you. It'll be a time.
Okay, she just said she would take questions after her
Thank you.
overview, that's all.
Thank
So I was just gonna ask a couple questions. Okay.
This brings us to citizens' comments. You are, or public participation. The city clerk will call those who register to speak, and you are granted 3 minutes.
Juanita Lewis.
First, I'd like to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to be here today. But secondly, 3 minutes is just not enough to give people who are the citizens of the community to cover their concerns. But I'm gonna try to make this brief, and I don't have to say my name again because as she stated it. And I just wanna say this first. My concern is education and jobs for the community of Benton Harbor. I just have to say this. I sent a letter out, and I also applied for a particular job. And on all my cover letters, this is what it says. It says, I am an exceptional and outstanding spokesperson for youth. I enjoy helping them recognize their inner strength. I love all people and work well with all people. I would be a great asset to any company. Will always give 100% toward any task I endure. I am computer literate, good communication skills, verbal and written. I'm familiar with Microsoft Word and Windows, but I am willing to be trained for other software if needed. I'm a fast learner and patient. I look forward to working with any company. That was just my cover letter. But here it is. Education. People focus on educating us, but when you do get the education that they per se we need to have to get good jobs, well, I'm concerned that even with a good education, our people are not getting good jobs that are supposedly to come to our community. We must be accountable for getting our youth the jobs when other companies come in, and also not only should they have to have a high school or a trade, but when they do have a high school diploma or a trade, somehow they still not getting the jobs that they supposedly gotten an education or job. Excuse me. They shouldn't have to go through nothing or no temp service and be given $9 and something when a temp service agent getting like 15. So the middleman, which is our youth, they getting a little money. The other people are receiving it all, kind of like a law fee. I'm not sure why. To me, that is ludicrous. Whether they have a high school diploma, GED, or trade, some youth who don't look like us or our young people, they are being paid top dollar, and they also have the same training that our youth receive. Because, excuse me, I'm not sure why I'm off.
Ma'am, your time has expired.
Can I get a little bit more time? I just want to.
We have a full agenda today, and there are other people who would like to speak as well. So if you could come back to the next meeting or maybe to one of the committee meetings, or you can write it down and submit it to the clerk's office.
That's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna type up a letter and send it to the clerk's office. So I hope you guys do something
For
with the
each
information.
commissioner to review.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Emma Kennard.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Happy New Year's to everyone.
Happy New Year to you.
But I'm here to comment on just what I just sort of got heard. Benton Harbor, we usually have such an influx of everybody but Benton Harbor a lot of times when there's a flow of money that comes in. Now, one thing that I see with this trash deal, from when it began, it was such a stall and such a long time before even any contracts were sold. It makes me believe that there was a lot going on there and a loophole looking for some kickbacks. And I've talked about kickbacks before, but it seemed like they got pretty upset about me saying kickbacks. But what it was supposed to have been done, have some clarity in doing a contract with the company, and you wouldn't have this problem, is to try to even make maybe even the city manager that's coming on be to blame for how everything is being done. A lot of these things were put together prior to him coming in, and unbeknownst to probably a lot of you all, because there's a lot of things that goes on that you all have no knowledge of when it happens. This is the commission. So I'm asking what is happening, and all of us as residents of Benton Harbor should ask what is going on. Because then when this come up, there should have been a clear understanding of the contract when it came up. And unless they're leaving a little loophole to get something under the table. So that makes me think, when y'all put it together from the beginning, which the old city manager got such a high rating, he was in place to put things in order. And it should have that information to the man that we're paying big money to make sure that we have all our ducks in line when it comes to contracts. Now, we asking you all, this is the year of 2020, that's perfect vision, to take your time and watch what is happening. Because if the head is not operating right, the rest of it is not gonna operate either. So pay close attention to what is going on. I don't care who likes me or dislikes me for whatever I say. I'm not coming here to be liked or disliked. What I come across is to try to get you all to see the truth. We've dragged our feet long enough here in Benton Harbor, and the city seemed to be on its last legs sometimes. Now it's time for us to wake up and do business right. Just because another person is your friend and your buddy, don't go along with him. Do your research and do what is right for the city. You all are elected as citizens. And a lot of the people that vote for you don't see you until time for you to run again. So remember, you didn't get yourself in these seats. Thank you.
Thank you.
Marvin Haywood.
Good evening to the commissioners, all the audience. Once again, we're at 2020. It is the year 2020. And one of the greatest things that we got to be able to comprehend what's going on. Because a lot of time we can receive a lot of content, and that content at the end of the day has become a con. One of the things that I want to address tonight, and I ask that you take off the agenda, is the approval of the special land use permit. In January, when Novo came through, they said that they would use the hiring staff and recruiting services here in the city of Benton Harbor, Michigan. And if in fact that has not been put in place, there should be no approval without a resolution making sure. Because they talk about having jobs when companies come in for the city residents. All right. And when they put it in the paper, they said that hire staffing and recruiting services will be hired by Novo to make sure that the city residents receive jobs. Now here it is that throughout this process, there's been no resolution put forth to make sure that that company secure those jobs so that the city residents can receive first dabs with this particular company. All right, Pearson Group, I was able to talk with Pearson Construction, and they were doing a lot of the work. And they said that they're $40,000 in the hole. They quit working for Hobo. They quit working for Novo. They just quit. They said they're not going to do the Al Rico site. Talk to them personally. And the reason I say this is because every time something comes through here, we're talking about jobs for this community. They'll bring you one thing, and when the paperwork is done, it's something totally different. And it's 2020, it's time out. So we got to make sure that that paperwork is in order when you do that resolution. And so if you approve this processing plan, And this other partial tonight, I ask that you table that until you make sure that the resolution is in place, until you make sure that the hiring and staffing and recruiting firm service of Benton Harbor, Michigan is put in place to make sure that they properly execute the hiring process so that the city of Benton Harbor and its residents won't be excluded as it has always been. So as I say, it's 2020 and common sense don't cost a quarter. And when we go back to the situation with the trash, we have a company that we're paying a lot of money. We don't have a finance director. For what reason, I don't know. That would be the first thing that you would put in place. As well as a good lawyer when it comes to representing the progress of this city. You know, for a long time, we've been going through the same thing. A lot of times we can have people in play that don't have the best interests of the city at heart. It ain't no mistake. Everybody knows this. We see what's going on. And common sense don't cost a quarter. I got a lot of it. See, just because you got a degree and you can give us a lot of content, we know that anytime you give a lot of content, it becomes common. So we have to be aware, because in 2020, I will go around my elbow to get to my thumb to get what I want done. When they talk about sustainability, for who? How can you have a master plan?
Thank you,
that's been in
Mr.
place
Haywood.
that has never included the inner city, but your waterfront project? Make it make sense. Thank you.
That's fine. Felicia Hicks.
She was here.
Gwen Swanigan.
Good evening to all the commission board, Felicia Hicks.
Joey Walker. Okay, my question is the bid still open for weed cycle? And then, when would Mr. Edwards receive the check for, the month of December?
You don't know, we don't ask the question.
Because he successfully submitted an invoice, excuse me, for last week.
Chair recognizes the city manager.
Invoice is approved tonight, will be paid tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Now,
What that open bid, what do you have to
The city clerk, you can contact the city clerk's office regarding, the
do? New bid.
and also, the city manager.
That's all. Thank you.
thank you.
Gwen Swanigan.
Hello, everyone. And happy New Year to you all. Thank you all for taking out this time to listen to what I have to say after this conference. First of all, I'd like to say this weekend we're having a call to action meeting event for the city of Benton Harbor. And it's the meeting of the minds, and we have invited, and I believe you all have gotten the invite. And hopefully you all will be there to support, because it's time for more unity in our community. It's time for us to come together as a body, as a community, to solve some issues that's been going on for so long, too long. And it's just time for us to come together and put all this past stuff behind us and do what's right for the residents and for our community in the city of Benton Harbor. And so hopefully you all will be there to support. It's going to be a great event. If you have any questions, you can feel free to give me a call with it. My number is 269-888-1551. Also, just to piggyback a little bit off of that, as far as the residents, I wanted to say, I also like to thank you all for moving this medical marijuana thing forward. Making it have traction a little bit more than what it has been.
because it's very well needed in our city. The money that's coming, and also not the money, just the healing of it. I've done some research on it and how it has made an impact on some people that I talked to as far as with epilepsy and things of that nature. But with the information that we have as far as the monies that's coming through to the city, I thank you for pushing this forward for the residents of Benton Harbor. Because so many times people have come in and said and promised us jobs and promised our residents things, and it hasn't been done. But with everything that's coming forward, with all the new developments and everything, especially with Novo being one of the ones, I believe was one of the first applicants that's been approved or being approved, bringing in a lot of the resources and stuff for our residents. I thank them for coming in, and also thank them for actually partnering with Higher Staffing and Recruiting Services. That's my company that I have. I'm a minority company here in Benton Harbor, in the city of Benton Harbor. And as you all have heard over many times, I'm sure Mr. Stoller, and I thank him for him. It's been 3 minutes already?
3 minutes.
Oh, Lord. I didn't know I could talk that long. But anyway, I thank you all for that. So I just want to just thank you all for allowing me to come before you. Thank Novo for, allowing me to be a partner with them. And I just want to make sure that we do the right thing on the front end for our residents.
Thank you. The city manager has requested to ask a question.
Sure.
You mentioned an event, you mentioned something happened, you didn't say when, you didn't say where.
Oh, I'm sorry. It is this weekend, Saturday, January 11th, from 1 to 3:30, and it will be at the Sinbad Imaginasium on 1400 Jennings Avenue. That's this Saturday. So hopefully you all will come through. Again, I thought you all had gotten.
What's the address?
The address is 1400 Jennings Avenue. So it'll be this Saturday from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. The state will be here. A number of people will be here. City officials, community leaders. We just need to all come together and and have one voice and make sure we are doing the right thing for us, for our community, for our residents,
Thank you.
for our youth.
That concludes the public participation or citizens' comments portion. This brings us to the consent calendar items. Are there any items that should be separated from the consent calendar at this time? Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seaton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I want to ask that we do separate the resolution for Twin City Harbor's special joint meeting. Also, I would ask to separate adopt a resolution approving candidates for the city manager, position of city manager. And also both special land use permits.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Are these two separate resolutions, the resolution approving the Twin Cities Harbor special joint meeting and adopt a resolution of, okay, yeah, they're two different, yeah, okay. The, I'd like to separate the item, authorization of a city manager to execute fixed date schedule, proceed with Michigan Department of Environmental, Great Lakes and Energy, Drinking Water, State Revolving. That one.
Duly noted, Madam Clerk. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar items?
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Singleton, supported by Commissioner Adams. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Season,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to the separated items. The first item on the agenda so many here, is to adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute the fixed date schedule to proceed with Michigan Department of Environment, Great Lakes and Energy Drinking Water State Revolving Loan Fund and Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund loans, and to execute agreements with Avonmarsh, Dixon Engineering, and Beard Financial to complete the necessary construction documents and application for Eagle for funding assistance. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams, and it is supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Is there a discussion? Chairman recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. This came through committee of, was it personnel and finance? It came through personnel and finance and it had everything to do with money. And I'm just gonna, I'm gonna just cut and chase and just get right down to it because I don't think that this is a time that Benton Harbor need to be looking at taking up a $14 million loan. If in fact this is the one that we're talking about, in with us gaining what, 1 million, 1.4 million towards, I think that we have a ways to go before we can take up that type of debt, being that the water plant has us fully loaded and we're just getting back on good standing, coming from a financial emergency situation. And until we get a finance director and everything else in-house in order, I don't think that we need to even be considering anything like this. Because personally, I think that since the water plant improvements, we've endured some violations that are out of sight. But you guys don't ever, the public never hears about any of that. And see, some of us do know what's going on internally. Because some of us pay attention, some of us stop, ask questions, some of us stop by and visit places. Wow. I can't see as bad as the infrastructure of this city needs to be taken care of. It reminded me of a meeting that was held, I was about to say earlier this year, here in 2020, but I'm gonna look back with that 2020 vision and remember a meeting that was hosted at a hotel with some outsiders that go around the country, especially to predominantly Black communities, and educating us on what we need to do to enlighten, educate our youth, and creating them some jobs, partnering with the universities, and seeking out some of the funding, the millions and billions of dollars that go through the universities for these type of things. I think that until we look at those type of situations, that I am in good conscience will not vote for taking Benton Harbor into the endeavor of such a loan until we can further ignite our tax base, bringing in more tax dollars, more jobs for people to pay into our taxes. See, I'm reminded also of the bad deal that we got when it came to the 25% of federal dollars that this commission has control, this governmental body has control over, and making sure that city residents get some work. That was not the case. And we're still paying. And then we've had even more violations. We have help from these very people, and I'm sorry that my colleagues were not available to attend this meeting. It was a wonderful meeting, and these people will be back. And actually, this group actually strengthens the group that has formed here in Benton Harbor, which is the Water Committee. I did at the last minute, I was able to get our new city interim to attend this meeting. And there's some other things that we definitely need to go over, but there's a whole lot of resources that are available. And I think that all of them need to be looked at and investigated before we take up on such a loan and put that type of burden on the city of Benton Harbor residents.
Chair recognizes the city manager.
Mr. Mayor, Commissioner, with all due respect, this wouldn't be on the agenda if it hadn't gone through our scrutiny. This water tower is a vital part of the water being as good as it is. And if we don't fix it, it will continue to deteriorate. That's on this agenda because I've done my work and I believe and know that the tower needs to be fixed. And we have the funds to take care of it through the process that has been presented to you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Manager. So I just want to read a part of the packet where it says the need for the project. It says water and sanitary sewer infrastructure dates to the early 1900s. Facilities are operating beyond their useful lives, which is the tower. The type of water catastrophe and water hazard in terms of the Safe Drinking Water Act that could be caused if the tower is not upgraded. Could affect the whole city. So it's very important that we get that tower repaired and fixed. There's a high probability of failure and service disruption. Projects selected based on priority within asset management plans, which we all have been given, selecting that they overlap to maximize effective use of loan funds. Aging and undersized water mains. So the city currently has throughout the city water mains. Some are not the 4 inches that's really required. I live on Cherry Street. The main was 2 inches, and it froze, and we were without water for like 50 days, and that happened throughout the city. So we got money from the state to go in and fix water mains, and we have not had that problem that we had a few years ago. But we still have more mains that need to be addressed. Inadequate water pressure or water quality. Lead service lines will be replaced. So the city is mandated by the state of Michigan to swap out and change water mains, lead lines that we're mandated. We have to do it. And through this low interest loan, which would be about $15,000 per month, the city will be able to address the issues of lead. I've been hearing a lot of conversation. It's lead in the water. It's lead here. It's lead there. We have done a study. There are certain homes, certain lines that need to be replaced. The state has mandated the city of Benton Harbor to do so. This is a way We don't have it in the general fund to replace these lead lines. But this is a way where we can go in and keep the drinking water safe, keep the residents safe by trading out and putting in the proper lead service line. Aging sewer pipes. We see all around the city, certain spots, you need a boat to get through. Particularly over by the Old Mercy, over by, we did fix on Weld and Colfax. So there's many different sewer lines in the city that need to be addressed. This is a way where we can begin to solve that problem. Compromised roadway. We had a bus fall into a sinkhole, but it was the water main that broke that caused the foundation to weaken, and the bus fell in with children in it. So I mean, this is, you know, leaky sewers are susceptible to infiltration, increased cost to transport as well as treat. The water tower we talked about, we do have MIOSHA requirements that we have to fulfill. Otherwise, the city is in violation and we will be fined very handsomely if we do not address the requirements as it relates to that particular issue with the water tower and others. So this is, and the other side of it is the streets where water mains are replaced, sewers replaced, sewer lines. This gives us an opportunity to maximize our infrastructure upgrades, where the engineering company and the contractors will fix those streets, fix those curbs, fix those sidewalks. And we don't have to use city income tax dollars to do it. So, you know, somebody at some point is going to have to upgrade this city. 1865, I believe, is when it was started. It's 2020. So it's very important that we utilize all of the different, and not to mention 1.7 million. Hold on, just I want to be right. Pardon me. 1.4 million. Thank you, Commissioner Henry. Will be forgiven. So I urge and I ask the city council. You know, I think it's in the best interest of the community from a safety standpoint that we move forward and we get this work started and we get it done.
Good presentation.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, for saying everything that I think I needed to say, but I went to a walkthrough with our director, Mr. Mike O'Malley, from the basement of the water plant to the new sections of the water plant. And he assured me and he pointed out every fitting, and there was not one lead fitting in that whole building. And there's some rooms that we don't need that we should probably put on eBay or some other things to get rid of. But he came to the water tower. Speaking of the water tower, which the phone line to the water tower hadn't worked in a long time, which is working now. But he overflowed the water tower and he showed me how the pumps and everything directed toward us having clean drinking water. That's what it's about. Removal of lead lines, which has been mandated in 2020 by the state of Michigan, that if they run into any, whether it's a turn on or a turn off lead line, the city of Benton Harbor has to replace it at the city's cost. Nobody's getting a grant for this. So you can talk to Al Pashoka. I was on my way to South Bend, Indiana, on the phone with him, and he said they were doing a pilot program in another city to see if that worked. And I believe that pilot program was pumping out of the Detroit River for Flint, which didn't work. And for some reason, he said Benton Harbor cannot afford to have a water plant. We proved that wrong. We need to do what's best for the city seniors, for the children, And I researched it, I had to look at it because I don't want to absorb a loan. My only question becomes this, and I'll digress to whoever needs to speak to. How much are we paying for the implementation of the loan? I have no problem with the upgrade, tower, lines that need to be ran, but how much of this loan is going to be paid out in administration? Is that it? How much is it?
The total cost of the project is $14,518,273. Eligible cost $4,465,000. Water storage $499,800. Water distribution $3,965,200. Loan forgiveness approved totaling $401,850. Expected debt repayment $15,125 per month for 30 years. Loan forgiveness approved totaling over $1 million. Expected debt repayment. Local share cost is $4,973,273. Similarly, monthly cost with a major local street fund, not income tax, carrying a balance of nearly $900,000 as the city prepared for this project. The major street fund provides approximately $500,000 to pay the local shared costs. So the money is there. Yes, sir.
Honorable Mayor, my question just still is how much is the administration of the grant? I mean, if this is it 10%, 2%, 5%, 6%, 1%?
Anyone speak to that?
Sure, Mr.
Could you
Mayor.
please come forward and state who you are and what company you represent?
Sure, I'm Chris Cook with Abbott Marsh. Happy New Year. The question about administration is a good one, and the amount of the project that's dedicated to administration is zero.
Right. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large, Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I did attend this committee meeting and listen to the presentation. Real good. And, you know, as the old saying says that the difference between negligence and gross negligence. Negligence would mean that you should have known, but maybe you didn't know. Gross negligence, that you knew and didn't take no action, you know, so it'll hit you in the pocket a little harder. To have a good functioning and clean water coming out the water plant, and to have a distribution system that's inadequate, you know, it's kind of like defeating the purpose. I think, you know, $15,000 a month to pay back that, really not bad, you know, because if you end up getting sued, you might be paying a whole lot more. Also, it buys you time to, over the years, to come up with some more money to maybe pay down that, you know, debt a lot faster. You know, you want to grow the economy in your community, you got to have something, you know, the resources got to be there, the infrastructure got to be there. So, you know, that's one of the biggest things I heard the citizens say, you know, about infrastructure. They complain about the roads and the sewer pipes and sewers backing up and stuff. The study was done. This is one, I think, big move to address it, you know, on a big level. And like you say, it's not messing with the city income tax that was voted in to also help out. So I think we'll be able to do a whole lot more for our resources. So I think this would be a thing that we need to pass, but then it's up to us to make sure that everything go, you know, as to plan, and check and balance systems and making sure everybody do what they're supposed to do.
Thank you, Commissioner Singh. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. I just heard myself speaking with the remembrance of some things you said, Mayor and Commissioner Singleton. Oh, when it came to the income tax dollars, how can we be covering up what needs to be fixed underneath? And 15,000 a month sounds easy, but add it all up, 12 months. And then the fact remains it needs to be done. I have a question. Is this an opportunity for us to actually replace the water tower? I mean, because that to do anything other than that is kind of just like what we've been doing to the streets, putting a Band-Aid on it. That's a lot of steel. Can we sell that? And help pay for its replacement? I mean, I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Commissioner, it would be negligence and gross negligence if I tried to answer that.
I'm just a thinker.
Sure, those are the kind of things that out of the box thinking that is valuable in the process. With the water tower, you said there's a lot of steel there. That's a fact. So to throw that steel into the garbage at this point would be wasteful because there's a lot of life left in that tower. And what we're proposing is more maintenance and code compliance. And that will help that tower last for many, many more years. And so that asset that you have is still worth something. And I would not suggest that you get rid of it at this point.
Maybe we should run some lights or something and get St. Hill and do a light show or something.
Chair recognizes the second ward Commissioner, Commissioner Atwood.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. One of my questions is on this loan, will that take care of the whole project? Or is that piece of it, half, a third, a quarter? Because I'm looking on here and there's a, you have the street projects where they're located, and there's 3 of them. So would this loan take care of all of that? Or would we have to go back again? That's my question.
Thank you.
I'll just stay here. This project is about $15 million. When we went through the different studies that we prepared over the last 3 or 4 years, we've outlined a total of about $100 million worth of work that needs to be done within the city to address the aging infrastructure, streets, alleys, and sidewalks. So this would be the first component of a larger scale plan for sure. And with this opportunity to get this loan forgiveness, it really is a big opportunity to take advantage of some free money to go ahead and get started on that.
Through the chair, so you said the whole project is 100 million?
No.
We outlined a project of $100 million over 30 years to be done. So this particular project is 15 million as the first phase of that much larger 30-year plan, year 1.
And at the same time, we still have to pay that 15,000 back every month. And somewhere along the line, we will have to do another loan before we finish that? Or will we finish that loan and then apply for another one is the thing I'm looking at.
We would expect that there would be another loan to be taken at an appropriate time, probably talking in the 5 to 10 year range. And that would be when some other loans go off the books. For example, the water plant was referenced. When that loan is paid off, then that gives us that capacity to go and put towards additional work to be done throughout the city.
Chair recognizes third ward Commissioner, Commissioner Henry.
Thank you. In a meeting, we had a conversation with Ava March, and we talked of all the studies that had been done. And I'm going to ask you if you've done 3 studies, since 2014. Are they still valid? Are
Yes.
that information?
Yes.
So when the conversation came up about 2012, are those studies still valid?
2012, you're referring to the water plant time? Probably.
Probably.
Those studies are no longer valid. That's been 8 or 9 years since those were done, so those would need to be updated.
Okay. So you're saying that out of this $14 million, Evermarch has done all the studying and all the preparations, and there's no more money expected from Evermarch. Am I correct?
I'm not sure what your question is.
You're saying that from the question the Commissioner, Mayor Pro Tem asked you is how much money of administration or how much money will Evermarch really receive out of this $14 million?
What we have outlined is a maximum of 15% of the construction to do the design and construction administration of the project. So that construction work occurs with inspectors that are out on the site while the contractor is working to make sure it gets done per the specs. And we handle all of the work with the state, and we do all the design plans to set it up for bids and to go out for contractors to bid on and build the work.
So what did you answer to zero?
Administration was the question.
Administration.
There is not any of that.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks for helping us out on that. 15% for design and construction. Now, let me ask you another question, Mr. Cook.
Did you direct it to the chair?
Well, I'll direct it to the chair. Can you tell me no, I'll have to go there because you interrupted me and my thought went away. But I do have other questions. It'll come back to me. Thank you. Now, in this, you said that there's going to be a loan forgiveness. And I want to make everybody know that we did discuss this in committee, but that was in April. And this is the next time that we see it. So that's why you're getting a lot of questions from it. Because I have almost forgotten. They just gave us a presentation, but we did discuss this. Okay. So that's the reason why we're getting all these questions. Now, the loan forgiveness is for $1.4 million. Is that for this grant? Or is that for another grant that we have in debt to?
That is for this work.
Okay. And in your capacity as our engineer firm, you do have a performance bond that is required for your facility, that if anything goes wrong, that your company is held responsible for it, and that security bond will come in play if need be.
We are insured for errors and omissions, so yes, in answer to your question, I think we're on the same page.
And have you ever had any errors since you've been on board with the city and use your performance bond?
I don't think so.
Well, okay. Colleagues, you might not have been here, but there's been some incidents. So I'm just letting you know that we have to be focused in on what we're paying for and what we're getting. So my problem is what I remember in the past has not been helpful to Benton Harbor. The projects are not completed in a timely manner, or they're not done in a proper manner. So we gotta be diligent to make sure that the people that work for us is doing their job. So you didn't put the water plant in it, and I hear you emphasizing the tower which has been a problem for a lot of years, and it definitely needs to be addressed. But when we looked at the local income tax money, you as our engineer brought us a plan. And the commission didn't like the plan. And we went back and revised it. And it worked for us at 80-20. When I go and look at the area that you are projecting on to work on this time, pretty much the same area. There's a few things that's different. And then I have to speak for my ward. My ward has been just constantly battled with a low area and water in the basement, sewer in the basement for years. I mean, I've got some people that have been in my ward for 30 and 40 years, and they've had the same problem over and over and over. But when I look at this map, I don't see my ward. I don't see those problem areas. And I go back to my first observation was your first recommendation for our local income tax is very similar to what you're presenting here. Pay attention, stay awake, and make everybody accountable for what they're doing to us. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Just quickly, is this an opportunity for us to also regain our customers that would be a great help, such as the airport and Kojic? And those other water lines that need to be fixed up in the industrial area of Enterprise Zone?
According to Commissioner Adams, according to the state law, the local municipality or township, the nearest tap is what the requirement is. The lines that are running through the township are no longer owned by the city of Benton Harbor. And that was an agreement that was consummated by Joseph L. Harris, who acted as the emergency manager at the time. So we cannot, even though, say for instance, Chassis or even our public works purchases water from the township.
But we break our own charter.
But the state law trumps any home rule. So, that's a whole nother issue that's separate from what's at hand at this time. But I think that, it's something that should be looked at. But I think that what's important now is for the approval to get started on this work here.
Yeah.
We do have a number of other items after this.
Call for the question.
Mayor Pro Tem Stevens.
Yeah, after this lengthy debate, I do call for the question.
I have one more question to ask, Mayor, please. Will you give me that up to ask one more question?
As a senior member of this council.
Thank you. My next question will be to staff. Is there going to be an increase in our water and sewer bill? But somewhere along the line, my brain heard them say in the meeting, well, yeah, it's going to be an increase. But we're not talking about it now, and I need to hear if that is really true.
Mr. Manager.
As you say, we're not talking about it now. But the reality of the situation is we will have to look at that before we make any determinations like that. Okay?
The 15,000 is not coming out of the water fund. The general fund, which is separate from the water fund.
Well, no, okay. It's not coming. Now, let me make this understanding. Benton Harbor was left with a little money when the state left. We were just barely teetering from Could have been bad news or good news. But the local income tax came in, a couple of other things popped up that we really enjoyed to have a little extra money. But we got 3 things that are not in our budget from last year.
You Commissioner.
Well, no, it's the same.
No, because.
We're talking money here.
But we're not, this is not a personnel finance committee.
You don't need to have
This is a.
We're
item that's
talking
before
about
us.
the money you want citizens to pay. You're talking about something that's very interesting to me because I'm a citizen. So yes, I need to know, I need the citizens to hear that we have 3 new projects that were thrown in our plate. The cemetery board just gave back to us.
Point of order, Commissioner.
That's money.
But
That is money owed, and
nothing
do we
to
have
do-
$15,000 a month to pay for this? That's my question.
We do.
Prove it to me, Mayor. And don't go with your memory. Let me hear the real truth from someone that knows. Do we have the money, or are we gonna burden the citizens with a big increase now or 10 years from now? It doesn't make any difference because our income is at $900, $9,000 average income a year. So I do not want to burden us with it. If that's got to be, because we do have some discretions with local income money, we can help ourselves out. Do we need to spend this money, and do we have the money to pay it?
Thank you. Did you call for the question?
No, I need an answer.
Honorable Mayor, with all due respect, we do have the former city manager who made the budget. If she wants to ask a question, can you come forward? Or we don't call for the question, I call for the question.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yes.
This is on the actual item.
On the item.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson. Yes. Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
No.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. We look forward to getting this done for you.
Thank you. The next item is adopt a resolution approving the Twin Cities Harbor, special joint meeting. Is there a motion for the adoption?
So moved.
Motion is made by Commissioner Henderson and supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Honorable Mayor, what date is this on? I've seen, heard that this was possibly on Martin Luther King Day. They
No,
changed the date?
no, there are a number of dates that will be shared with the city council.
But it's not gonna be on Martin Luther King Day.
No, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. Did I hear someone say there was an independent facilitator who's going to be in this process? I would like to know who that facilitator is.
Those were just kind of what you would call recommendations, different, I don't want to say scenarios because it's not that kind of, just ideas that what a board could possibly look like. But the first things first, allow for the decision makers, the elected leaders with high-level staff to come together and begin a conversation on this issue. And after that, out of those conversations will come what we want based on intergovernmental agreements. But the first step is to agree to just sit down and reason with one another. That's what this is asking. Any further steps outside of that and beyond that, I think needs to take place once we sit down and talk.
Will we as a body get more information as to what land we're talking about belongs to Benton Harbor. We've had several meetings as well as charrettes, and I bet 2 or 3 of us still don't know. So will our city manager, bring us together and make us whole before we go to the other municipalities and have conversation?
Chair recognizes the city manager.
Whatever the body needs to make it work, Madam. We have a list here. You, at the committee meeting, you asked for this document that laid out the area plan. And,
So you're just talking about this document here. Is F in the city of Benton Harbor? Is the multi-unit residence in the city of Benton Harbor? So is this really real, or maybe I just missed something about my city?
we gotta vote.
Well, the thing about it is, this is where, we're talking to each other.
Exactly.
But this is the resolution that's in front of us.
I understand that. Are you gonna make us whole by letting the body know exactly what we're talking about? We've been gone through this for months. It started with us, so they say. We didn't know about it until after it happened. And then more meetings, and they have to admit to their own self that they have not addressed be able to include the general public of Benton Harbor. But I'm asking the city manager, through the mayor, if he's going to educate us about this project before we get to the other municipalities and start negotiating.
Chair recognizes city manager.
Madam, this whole process, this is what this is about. This process is about the learning. This is the missing link. When we got to the point during the talks about going further, it became clear that neither of the 3 communities knew in detail the project. This is what this is about, and from here on, when we meet together, then we'll start learning together. We need to meet and know each other first. We need to understand what the project's about. And the answer to your question is yes. The answer is yes. You'll be educated every step of the way.
Before I get to be in front of St. Joe and St. Joe Township, I want to be learning. I want to understand the process before I start negotiating. So I'm asking you again, through the chair, if you're going to give us that opportunity to have that information before we start negotiating with these other municipalities. And don't let me bring my biases out about these other municipalities and how they treat Benton Harbor. So I'm asking you, through the chair, if we're going to get educated in this project before we negotiate.
The answer is yes.
And can I ask you the time frame and when this is going to happen?
We have to agree on that, Commissioner, on what date works for St. Joe Township.
I ain't talking about St. Joe Township. I'm talking about Benton Harbor. I'm not even talking about
But we all have to agree on a date.
I'm not talking about the date. I'm talking about educating this body before we make that date with the other municipalities.
Mr. Manager.
And I now need a time frame. If it's gonna be done, let's do it.
That's what I was just getting ready to ask. When would you like to do it?
Yesterday.
Okay. Yesterday.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams and then Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
That is not happening. You don't make me happy.
I'm reminded of a lot of the decisions that were made when I was a St. Joe Benton Harbor River Authority board member. and how that dissolved. It was very important to keep the river dredged for recreational purposes. And I think it was then Representative Pashoka went somewhere in Lansing and formed another group, and I see they're reforming. I am not going to do anything to hinder growth because we need it. I like things to do in my own community as opposed to going somewhere else and spending my money in somebody else's community. I think it's high time we start doing things to attract people to bring their dollars into Benton Harbor on every level. On every level. But this twin thing, it troubled me as a little girl coming up when I learned about difference. I happen to be a senior citizen inside. I'm grateful to be one. Some don't make it that far.
That's right.
But this I mean, I'm thinking back to the decisions that we made when we entered into something. I don't know whatever happened to it. Nobody ever reported back that was appointed to go to the meetings with South Michigan, Western Planning, something. And decisions have been being made and we don't get any input on it. Because we don't have anybody over there representing us at the table. I can't be everywhere. I do enough meetings. And we can't point fingers at each other and talk about we. No. Start with the one in the mirror. I get up and go. Because that's what I do. But we can't expect, communication is the key to a lot of things. And if we keep that line of communication open to make sure that somebody is there, then there's nothing for us to be fearful of because we're at the table making sure that we're not the meal. Because too often that has happened. And I, for one, I don't even want to see a wooden nickel. Because if this is growth for us all and twins gonna be twins, we ain't gotta look just alike because we never have. But the gig is up. Benton Harbor is tired of being left behind. We're tired of people coming to us, wanting to include us. Don't do things behind the scenes and come in with ill intentions in the back of your minds. Let us work together and try to live in peace and harmony with each other. We want peace, not war. And this meeting needs to take place because that's the only way we're going to come to a meeting or agreement of the minds. Thank you.
Chair recognized.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. This is the meeting that y'all got played like suckers. They took y'all down there and gave y'all cookies and juice. And because of your presence, that included you. They only wanted you there for your presence. Because this is that zone we've been talking about that we all got to play a part in, and then but if you look up, look at here, y'all look there, where it say your high school. What's your high school? They moving the school down to 11th Street.
What? That's a new school.
Then you got cultural center right behind that. You know what? I was there. I walked home from there. I rode with somebody else because I didn't want no cookies. I didn't want no juice. I wanted some people some jobs. And these same tycoons that come down here and say they're trying to better Benton Harbor downtown for your people are the same ones that help foreclose this apartment building. That's part of the process. It's a shame that none of the business owners down there, including Babes and all these other places that are down there, have any part in this. They've been paying taxes for years and ain't nobody asking them nothing, but they're dictating something. Then we got a hotel right there on the corner of one of the lots that somebody got an application in for a dispensary. And then now you're gonna say we're gonna knock that whole area down for the hotel there right across from the whirlpool, then they got a picture of a black man fishing on there with a red hat, you know, like you just, it's ridiculous. And then for the market, Benton Harbor Market in the inner city, but we're moving to school and putting a trailside brew pub right behind the school.
What?
You know, we play games. Like we love Benton Harbor. I'm talking to all those that are listening. Stop bullcrap. If you love Benton Harbor so much, then come to the meeting to try to save the high school. Bring forth an idea with all this to help save the high school. Why don't we put the high school on better property? So this is the move. This is the move that y'all got played like suckers. They had granola bars, they had juice, they had coffee, they had all that crap, but they never told you one thing about your people being employed. And you are the highest unemployed, the second highest in the state of Michigan, and you're the second highest tax in the state of Michigan. And we supposed to love this. Remember when they came and did a presentation? I told them it should be just a picture. Because until you start affecting our neighborhoods, which I know y'all don't want to hear that, because if you get a school lunch, you think you're better than somebody who got wings. Or you think you're better than somebody else. But the truth is, until you're able to bring somebody else along, you're doing nothing. So we move those people out of downtown, and we make it better for who? Ask me Buffalo. Downtown in Buffalo, who they made it better for. Downtown St. Joe was one of the worst areas in Barron County until people put money in it. Now they're moving to Benton Harbor to say you don't need your waterfront. Benton Harbor is the only one that touches this many major bodies of water. Stop being hoodwinked and bamboozled. Stop tap dancing. Stop doing it. Because you sounding good, but really at the back door, when you snacking and playing games with these people, they trying to take you over. And believe it or not, again, I was at that meeting for 5 minutes till I seen what was really going on. A whole lot of y'all eating them cookies and juice, and got the Oreos, and sucking down the juice, and they were just shaking y'all hand and smile. Don't you want that there? Don't you want that over there? Wouldn't that be good for you? In order. So in order, I will say to this mayor, I can't support none of this because you are killing the future of your children, and maybe some of y'all don't care, but you're killing the future of your children and your grandchildren. And I heard it best like this. They told us get ready when me and Honorable Mayor Muhammad ran. We was in the meeting. They said get ready because Benton Harbor ain't gonna be nothing but servants. Only thing y'all gonna be is servants and do customer service and be able to make beds and all that kind of stuff and clean kitchens. If y'all satisfied with that, keep on playing. And you will not in 10 years be sitting in these positions. Watch what I tell you. Let them keep building.
Keep that
Chair recognizes Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. Only thing I would say about this, my thinking is, if you can put together a bunch of sponsors who can put a grocery store, on the picture you say market share, but in language you say grocery store. So I'm not a politician. I'm a realtor and a negotiator. So let's negotiate. Let's take this one market share, which is a grocery store, let's put it in the middle of the hood. And then we can put something else for the market share up there, such as bouncy house. I don't care. But we need a grocery store in the middle. We don't need one where a child has to walk from Fair all the way over to the river to get an orange. If you put it in the middle, all of us can go get an orange. So can we negotiate that point? Put that grocery store in the middle and we'll figure something else out, put it on that watershed? Thank you.
Call for the question.
Well, I think that what's in front of us is to have a discussion.
For real?
That's what it's about. So when you start talking about negotiations, when you start talking about development, when we start talking about parcels and property, like they say, closed mouths don't get fed.
That's right.
So, but at the same time, you can't catch a fish unless they open their mouth. So we just have to be wise on behalf of the residents, but as it stands, you know, what's down there ain't bringing no tax dollars.
None, not now.
So we have to be creative at this table.
Yeah, buddy.
Where we can sit down and talk to, if they from Timbuktu, Chicago, Iowa, Miami, they have to come to this body.
Down south.
And we have to come together and make decisions that's on the best, that's in the best interest of this community. But if we close ourselves off or we're not talking to nobody,
Okay.
then we're gonna miss a lot of opportunity. My basketball coach, and I'm gonna close, he said opportunity, when it knocks, successful people answer.
Okay.
And I think that this is an opportunity for us to at least explore what potential opportunities can come to the city of Benton Harbor, starting first with talking to those who are elected. So I call for the question.
Commissioner Henry, this is on the actual item. Commissioner Henry.
Yes, as long as the city manager educates us. I'm saying yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seaver.
No.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next item for consideration is adopting resolution approving the special land use permit for parcel ID number 11540007 010203 1 in parentheses a grower C license. Is there a motion for the?
Make a motion.
Motion is made by Mayor Pro Tem C, supported by Commissioner Anderson. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem C.
Honorable Mayor, what committee did this come through?
And commission.
Came from the planning commission.
My question, so it came before the recommendation from the planning commission?
That's the process.
There was no question from the planning commission?
Call the question.
That was a question to the chair. Was there any questions from the planning commission?
The planning commission moved this forward. The chair, vice chair, pardon me, of the planning commission is present. Mr. Richard Hensel, who's the downtown development authority director. Could you please, Mr. Hensel?
Good evening, Commissioner.
Good evening.
As I understand it, where we stood with this particular set of issues was that there was confusion about what had been approved initially, and that the city staff was asked to bring it back through the planning commission to resolve these other outstanding special use permits. I want to make sure I'm using the right words here. Yes, so the process that had been in use was to approve the first of the special use permits. Unfortunately, that didn't cover all of the uses. So there are actually 3 uses, which is why you're getting these other 2 resolutions or resolutions. So everything else has been put in place. They're actually constructing something. And as I understand it, these 2 are are needed for them to actually do the work within the space of the existing building that they're working.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
You said you were directed from staff?
The staff brought this back to the planning commission for us to follow the procedures that the state statute and the city ordinance call for. So for the city of Benton Harbor, the marijuana ordinance that you pass requires a special use permit for each license. Unfortunately, when it was first put through, as I mentioned earlier, only one of the special use permits came through the planning commission, and there are 3 uses.
Last question. Yes, sir. Through the chair, was it only one application that's ever been given to you for these licenses? Or has there been more than one?
Madam Clerk?
3 applications.
So you had 3 applications?
In the case of this one particular company, yes.
No. I'm saying other facilitators. Did you only have, let me say it like this. You had one for Muhammad Ali, one for Joe Frazier, and one for George Foreman. Did you only have one for Muhammad Ali?
I haven't seen anything from other people yet. I'm assuming they're in the pipeline, but the planning commission hasn't received any information about.
Joe Frazier and George Foreman.
Right, so we haven't seen any site plans, we haven't seen any applications for special use permits.
You haven't seen any applications from anybody else?
Right, so we haven't seen anything else yet, and I don't know where they are, but for sure, they've gotta be moving through now.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
I call for the question.
Commissioner, this is on the actual item, Commissioner Edwards, I'm sorry. Commissioner Edwards.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry.
What are we voting on, please, Madam
This is on
Chair?
the actual item for the special use permit for the grower C license.
I was under the impression that we were gonna have an opportunity to talk to these candidates, and that's not true?
That is when the application is before you. This is
This is just a special use, so we're gonna follow the process
Yes.
this time.
So this will come back before you to approve the application.
Thank you. Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
This is for,
special use permit for the grower C
yes,
license.
go ahead.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
The next resolution is to adopt a resolution approving the special land use permit for parcel ID number 11-11-54-007-01-02-031, parentheses processor. Is there a motion? Motion is made by Commissioner Adams.
Second.
and is supported by Commissioner Edwards. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Same question, is this the only application that you received for the same opportunity?
The applications have been vetted and sent through the respective committees, I think, which you are aware of. The application from Novo met all of the necessary requirements and was approved by every department, and therefore was sent forth to the Planning Commission, which is part of the process, and now is coming before us for a approval for the special land use permit for the processor license. Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you for your explanation, Honorable Mayor. Asked the question, is this the only application that has come through for the same?
That has been approved at this time.
Well, the application has not been approved because that's come back before us. This is
Or
just for-
licensing, pardon me.
This is for licensing. I asked the question again, is this the only application that's come forth?
Well, again, this is not the only process, only company that has submitted an application, but in terms of that has cleared all departments to be presented to the Planning Commission. This is what's before us. I'm not on staff. I don't know all of the applications. Some were denied, some have to make changes to make it to the planning commission. But the NOVO has passed all required check marks. Is that correct, Madam Clerk?
Correct.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Well, I would just say, and after we vote on this, I would hope that our beloved city manager, somebody will give us a report on all these individuals who have filed $5,000 for application process to see what has happened. It's not for my benefit, it's not for anybody else's benefit, but if somebody willing to put $5,000 to application, they should get some kind of reasonable answer. Thank you, Honorable Mayor. And was the application fee done for each of these and not for grandfather? Because as I believe that each application was supposed to carry that amount. Thank you.
Well, I do know, and this is just from my conversation with the city manager, the city clerk, that the applications are moving forward. Some companies have been notified that have been declined based upon what has been submitted, what deficiencies or what requirements need to be satisfied. But the city manager is here.
My question was it $15,000 paid for all three applications? That's all I'm asking.
It's 5,000.
5,000 apiece, that's 15,000 for three.
They actually, yes.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes, and Mr. Manager, is there anything?
Mr. Mayor,
Beg your pardon, what'd you say? I didn't hear you, sir.
I just have one question, City Clerk Thompson.
Yes.
With
What
respect
did
to
he
the
say?
applications, I know they've been in process for a while, and, since, Mr. Ellis has been working diligently with moving that. What was the date that these were received and are finally moving through? Because I know it's been a while.
For the most part, all of them were received on October 1st, 2018.
2018. Thank you.
2018.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, one thing that I found in my long term as a commissioner, that the charter is in perfect sync when they tell us that we are to inquire. And I do it, and I did just that. I went into clerk's office and I sat down with the first review. Now, mind you, we've gone to another administrative, but the first review, nobody passed. Our financial, our police, our fire, everyone denied them. And when I went through the process of the planning commission and hearing the police department, the state department, all of the DDA and everybody else says they didn't want this. And then I saw the process stalled and set back. These people did pay. And for some of the things that they are denying, NOVO made sure that everything was done. It was out of process, but we did it, and they're here. The first ones that open the business up make the most money. If we all got them at the same time, they were all denied at the same time for the first round. And if you look at the second and the third round, you'll see some real discrepancies, some things that don't look right. You'll have to go see for yourself.
All right, any other on this item, Commissioner?
Yes. You want to change my thought again, or you want?
I don't want to change.
Oh, well, then why are you interrupting me, Chair?
Because you paused, so I didn't know if you would.
No. You know what you're doing because you've been here long enough with me that you know that you can distract me.
Commissioner, I don't want to.
Well, you already did, and you done did it twice tonight. So I'm asking you to please stop. So here it goes. How can this be? One company out of all 13, and none of them got approved except this one. Maybe that I'm a little paranoid, but something don't smell right. But I'm glad that we got somebody on board because we're going to get some tax money, income tax and property tax off of Novo. They're going to grow and they're going to hire some people to do some processing. But they're not going to give us any management jobs. So you're going to hear me vote for that reason. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Adams.
Thank you. I just find myself wanting to apologize, but I won't because I did my part. And the ordinance that brought all of this forward and came about was Lansing's. And it had some discrepancies in it with Benton being as small as it is and Lansing being as large as it is. Because there's no way that a business should have to have insurance on a existing building, paying it and all this other stuff in place without an actual business or knowing that you're going to have it. So that's why when it looked at like this process needs to move forward because we were one of the first ones in the state of Michigan that brought forth something legalized in the form of medical marijuana. And I'd be doggone if we be the last. So an RFP went out to free up our department heads. Thanks for not acting. And it would have sped up the process and we wouldn't be here now. We'd probably have dollars coming in and people employed. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You know, it was kind of amazing that there was a nurse that traveled from, I forgot where she traveled from. And I got the floor.
You do have the
And
floor.
she traveled with some people that are right now over in Indianapolis because of all the illnesses that this stuff actually heals. And my God, yeah, call him by name. Mine is Jesus.
We're voting, Commissioner, on approving a special land use permit.
But anyway, I just wish that we would pick up the pace and get this process to moving quicker. And if we need to put out another RFP for the over $100,000 that was collected for these applications to pay somebody to finish the process, that's what we need to do.
Question has been called for, Madam Clerk.
This is on the actual item, Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to the final resolution on this first agenda of 2020, which is to adopt a resolution approving the candidates for the position of city manager. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Commissioner
Support.
Adams
Yes.
and it is supported by the fourth ward, Commissioner Harrelson. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem C.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I think that, I think that we have fully vetted, looking for a city manager. But I think we need to put a permanent RFP out there till we find one. And then we can hire one. But I asked the question of this body, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart. You can't change the goal line in the middle of the Super Bowl. Is it gonna still be the will and pleasure? I'm not voting on no years, no 5, 10, 15, 20. will it still be as the contract was before that we voted on, the will and pleasure of the commission? The will and pleasure, because the candidates that are coming forth, which is two, as I heard it correctly, the agreement will still yet stand that it'll be the will and pleasure of the commission. I would like to hear that from my beloved chairperson of planning, personnel and finance through the chair.
Chair recognizes the personnel and finance chairman at large, Commissioner Isom.
Thank you.
Where this item came to that committee.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, and no disrespect,
I've been.
Mayor Pro Tem. This did come through we was in charge of the candidates. 10 applications, 10 resumes was submitted. And out of the 10, I asked, the Personnel Finance Committee asked to pick the top finalists, 2. And 2 candidates were chosen by each commissioner, and the top 2 was picked. So now we just setting up interviews and dates for that interview. No agreement or nothing, no contract in discussion yet until we get the position filled, then we go to the next step. Thank you.
So I would just ask, Mr. Chairman, out of the Free and Fair Hiring Act, was this position posted?
Yes, I think it was posted on the the municipal league.
Is the Human Resources Director present?
Was it posted?
Could you please come forward? Could you just briefly explain what the process was?
I was advised to post the position on the MML website.
Who advised you?
It was through the city manager.
That's right, he posted.
So, and how long was it posted?
About a month.
On the Michigan Municipal League website?
That's correct.
Was it posted anywhere else?
No.
No local publications?
No.
Was it posted in City Hall?
No, it was not.
Is it standard for, I know that there's a kind of like a bulletin where in the past I've seen where jobs have been posted here in City Hall.
That's correct, which we do that for just general employees. However, since it was a city manager position, I wasn't aware of the process, so I asked for recommendations. And that's what I was told
By somebody applying for the job.
by someone who was applying for the position. I mean, I think it also went before the finance committee as well, personal finance committee.
Right, well, I think it was good advice. I'm not saying that it was bad advice.
Well, I know it did go through
But I
that
just-
committee,
Okay.
but as far as
So the
my
recommendation
job to
also
do
came,
something,
so the recommendation also came from the finance department, finance, personnel finance, to post it, but nowhere specific.
I put it in charge of HR.
To post. Okay. And I myself told you to post.
yes, sir.
So I ain't throwing you out under the bus. I asked you to post the position as well. Thank you.
10 applications came in?
And 10
And
applications.
they were
came.
great. Yeah.
But I have to put it in the face of the public so nobody can leave and say there was no process. So I have to say that, okay? Chair recognizes.
Mayor, with that being said, and I know that we're trying to move forward expeditiously, but the last time we put out an RFP for city manager, we had people from Chicago, we had people from other cities, states, municipalities who was applying. My question to this body and it's no slight to anybody. But I think we need to do our due diligence in hiring, well, that can change real quick, Commissioner Adams.
I wish we could maintain order and respect one another who has a floor, despite how we feel about what's being discussed. Can I ask of that in 2020?
Thank you. My one vote voted against the trash contract. But anyway, I'm gonna go with you. And I'm gonna ask you, please, going forward, can we post it on a bigger platform? Because there's worldwide talent that will probably love with all the development that's coming into Benton Harbor, to come into Benton Harbor. And I'm not saying our city manager's doing a bad job. But I was talking to, and I'm if I got the floor, I got the floor, please. Talking to a young man by the name of Jerry Stackhouse for Detroit Pistons. He said what kept him sharp and in the league so long was because he knew there was somebody coming behind him that was trying to take his job every day. We need talent that if something does happen to a city manager, we have somebody who can step up behind them and carry the gauntlet. And that's one of the biggest problems. I have not seen in Benton Harbor that we don't have anybody coming up behind to carry the gauntlet to take us to the next place. And if we can start going global or even national, I think it will be better. Honorable Mayor, I'm bringing that out. There's no slap in the face to your department. There's no slap in the face of personnel and finance. You just did what you was asked to do. So, and again, we get what we vote for.
Yes.
The last time the city manager position was posted, it was during the EM, which we did hire someone from MML to actually go out and recruit, which was nationwide. And I believe at that time, her name was Joyce, if I'm not mistaken. She had a hard time actually recruiting people for that position. So
Do we have the same recruiter through the chair?
we did not have a recruiter, as I stated, we just posted it.
Thank you.
Yes, the Michigan Municipal League is a broad organization. And the 10 applicants came from, it was a pretty diverse group. So, but this is a tough job. So, do it at your own risk. Question has been called.
My hand was up before you called for a question.
I will recognize at large Commissioner.
I want to thank you. Thank you and thank you. I can't believe that it's taken this long. But we had 10 terrific applications that came in from various places. And I'd be glad when we can get an RFP out for a finance director.
That's right.
Because this should have been going out. Actually, we should have had one. I'm just glad that we at least here now and moving forward, but thank you for posting it, period.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Call for the question.
This is on the actual item, Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson,
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yeah.
Commissioner Edwards,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yeah.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Moore.
Yes.
Motion carries.
That is the final item on the agenda for business. This brings us to staff communications. The chair recognizes our Director of Public Safety, Director McGinnis.
Yes,
Okay.
Good evening, honorable commissioners. I'm glad to be back. Going last month, because 21 years, accumulate more vacation time than I can burn. Yeah, so that's where I was. No report. This week is you get my public safety report plus annual stats. So in the interest of time, we'll pass. Good to see everybody. Welcome, Commissioner Edwards. And carry on.
Chair recognizes our city assessor Story.
Thank you. No report tonight.
Chair recognizes our city attorney Hearn.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Wish everybody a happy new year, and I have no report for you.
Chair recognizes our Community and Economic Development Director Jennings.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. Happy New Year. No report this evening.
The chair recognizes our city clerk Thompson.
Just wanted to let everyone know that the office is in preparation to a March 10th presidential primary election. So notices will be forthcoming.
Thank you. Chair Manager, Interim City Manager, Manager Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a couple of items. I ask you all to put a hold on for the 20th. I'm asking you to release that hold. And we really do ask you to, is this not working? Okay. Yes, it really works. But seriously though, this is a time, a special time for Benton Harbor and for this area when the three communities are attempting to come together. You've complained about the past and it's justified. Don't complain about the future because you would have been a part of making that future happen. Things are happening in the area. I've been back here and there's so much going on in this area. And I am at the table. A representative of the staff is at the table. We know what's going on. We're participating and we're bringing it back to you. Now you have to understand, we can only bring it back to you. You have to vote to do whatever your spirit tells you to do. But we'll bring it back. And nothing will come to you without having been vetted and recommendation from us. Number two, I'm trying to get a retreat together still for you. We've come to January, but we all need to get together. We need to sit down and talk so we don't have to take this long to make decisions. So we can know what Avonmarsh is doing, so we can know what all of the other agencies and people who are working with the city are doing. As far as the marijuana is concerned, so I want to give an update. The commissioners heard it in the committee meetings. We have three more approved. And we hopefully will have more after. The people, there were 14 that were being vetted. 3 are approved, 11 received their deficiencies, and they've been correcting them since Friday. We did it over the weekend, and hopefully by tomorrow or the next day, we'll have all of those ready. But they'll only then be ready to be interviewed by you, the commission. I want to go back to that interview by the commission. Everything on here is a plan. It's a plan. Doesn't mean anything until you approve it or disapprove it. Okay? but you can participate in what is on here, or what should be on here, or could be on here. Last thing, you all have your audits. Asking you to sit down and read them, and we'll sit down and go over them and have a workshop session on them and go over them in detail. That's all of your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. The chair recognizes our 4th Ward Commissioner, Commissioner Harrelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mayor, we've heard a lot on tonight, but I'd like to wish everyone a happy new year and hope you had a good Christmas. And that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Harrelson. The chair recognizes our 3rd Ward Commissioner, Commissioner Henry.
I want to thank all the citizens for coming out, staying for the whole process. I hope that it was some information that you will be able to share with other community members in your family and neighborhood. Be sure to watch YouTube. Type in Benton Harbor City of Benton Harbor, and you will be able to stream all our meetings in this chamber. And hopefully soon you'll be able to text some questions, get some things together. It's important that you get involved. And as these medical marijuana and recreational marijuana industry that comes into our community, make sure that they hear what the residents need. And it's important that they give back to the residents, because this is a $1 million, billion industry, and it's gonna happen. We're just gonna make sure that we get our just desserts for allowing them to come in our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Henry. The chair recognizes our 2nd Ward Commissioner, Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to say thank you to all the residents and those of special interest that came in tonight, and I would like to thank those of you, if there's any in here that voted for me. Just like to say that I will, at my best, be a common denominator commissioner. We know that there's not enough room to get all the residents in here. We know that. So it is impossible for all the residents to get that information. So what I plan to do is just take that information to those that can't make it and see where we go from there. On the other side of that, I would like for you to hold me responsible for what I took the oath for. Do it in the street, wherever you see me. If you think that I did something that was inappropriate, something that will misrepresent you, then let me know right there. I'm visible, I'm open, and thank you again for coming out, and please look forward to getting involved. This is 2020, and we can do a lot between, in my belief, we can do a lot in 4 years, do a whole lot. We have the best resources on the planet, and that's your brain and your mind and your ideas. Without them, we can't do nothing. So I just ask you to stay involved, get involved in some type of way, and hold me accountable. And thank all the businesses for doing business with us. And if you're not doing business with us, then look me up and you will. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Edwards, and welcome aboard. I look forward to working with you. Chair recognizes our 1st Ward Commissioner, Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, and I'd just like to say a happy new year to everyone who attended tonight's meeting and stayed to the end. And just like many of the commissioners have said, it's very important that you get involved. As you saw last night, there was a lot going on that people probably had first heard about or had not seen, especially with the Harbor project that actually came through my committee, and they came through, presented. I think there probably was maybe 6 or 7 meetings to talk about this in depth. And so when she came back, we asked for color copies and to show us visually how things would look. And so tonight it was great to have people here to actually see what's happening, because as one of the commissioners stated, I'm tired, just like many other people, of going out. We have a beautiful waterfront. We have a beautiful city where we can enjoy if it's developed, and we can do something with that. And so just like many of you, we're tired of that as well. So there are, things that come along with that, but again, if your voice is involved in that, you elected us to also do that, but your voices are also important to hear and to, let us know what it is that you want to see happen with that. We'll do what we can to voice those things, but it's important to have residents involved, in that as well. So again, thank you guys for coming out.
Thank you, Commissioner Henderson. The chair recognizes Commissioner at Large, Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I wouldn't say no report, but I do have a report. Actually, just for this year, I'm looking for a whole lot of things, getting a whole lot of things done. There's a whole lot of things that need to be done. One of the worst actions that you can take is no action. And so, this year I'm looking to get this community involved at all levels. We talk about these things going on the river. It takes, everybody getting involved to make sure that everybody's somewhat happy. We talk about economic development coming in. We want to make sure that it benefits everybody. So these committees that we have every Wednesday, they are important. Citizens should come down and participate. I also like to do surveys to this year, pass out surveys, just get your thoughts and bring them back, because I know everybody can't, make all the meetings, and everybody don't watch the YouTubes, but your voice and opinions do count. I think as commissioners, if we have a better gauge of what this community wants, then we can make better decisions. So 2020, that's one of my pledges, is to get as many people involved as possible in the rebuilding and revitalization of this community. So if I act like if you think I'm bugging you, I will be bugging you. So, so you don't elect me or sit any one of us in this seat and leave us hanging. So, we need everybody involved, and I think if that happens, we'll get a whole lot accomplished. So looking forward to 2020.
Thank you, Commissioner Singleton. The chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Ison.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank all the residents for coming out tonight. Congratulations to all the appointees, reappointees that got appointed to different boards. Thank you for serving. Ms. Kennard, your good comments, just like a mother of the commission. Well, thank you for that. For serving on different boards. I want to thank give kudos to the Personnel and Finance Committee, how we work diligently on the position for the city manager position. I think you did a good job. I can shake Commissioner Singleton's hand on that, and look for greater things to come from Personnel and Finance. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. And next thing we'll be working on is by charter, we must have a finance director. So we're gonna coming out of this Personnel and Finance Committee, we're gonna push that hard. But that's what we need, people in position to run this city. And that's what we want, to move this city forward. People in position, need assistance to the city manager. Just say something happened to the one we got, you got somebody can fall in place. So we need that to keep the city going. And great job for the staff that helped us out, Personnel and Finance, putting this thing together. And we got a long night tonight. It's too late now. I gotta get up early for work, so we're gonna stay up all night and get this thing figured out. But we got a crumbling infrastructure. I want to thank Abby Marsh for putting a plan together for fixing these roads, all the water that over there by Commissioner Harrelson. I know she gets flooded out all the time, and part of this project will help her and her family. It's just all the whole Ben Harbor, it's old. Things are old, you gotta fix it. So thanks for coming out tonight. God bless you. Trust the process.
Thank you, Commissioner Isom. Chair recognizes Commissioner at Large Adams.
Happy New Year, everybody. Praying for a wonderful, prosperous one for everybody. I was just sitting here and all I could see, I used to do this as a kid in school, daydreaming, always outside doing something. I'm thinking about that clown that used to laugh over at Silver Beach. Something that this community, some of you too young to even really know about. They had the world's biggest roller coaster. I mean, people would come from all over the country, actually all over the world, to visit Silver Beach. And I mean, the boardwalk was kind of like the old Goldblatt's area. Those were some amazing times. And I never could figure out what was about the Twin Cities. Other than, okay, we got a bridge. They got a bridge and theirs was bigger. But anyway, when I got older, I had to ride over in St. Joe and take a look and then come back to Ben Harbor. But there's nothing twin about it because we didn't have that big old roller coaster. We had to go over there to enjoy it at Silver Beach. Now, I don't know what was going on at Gene Clark Park. But I think that's where some of us were probably conceived. It was probably a dark spot.
Wow.
Anyway, it's amazing that we don't know or can't expand our minds to see growth up ahead. Our children, I've spent for the past 19, 20, 21 years since I've been back in Benton Harbor doing a lot of the residents' hair, men and women, even some children. And I'm always taking an opportunity to ask the kids, what can we do for you? See, that's why I fight so hard. Because I know what they want. I know what they need. Even when I went out to California back in the early 80s, this side of the country knew nothing about a temp service working in Silicon Valley. They get $7 an hour, rent $700, $800, $900. I mean, it's here. They said it then that it would be spreading abroad, but so is a lot of other growth. If we don't build our own communities, nobody else is going to do it for us. And somebody is going to have to come up with some money to dredge their river. If any recreational, anything, fishing or anything goes on. And it's going to have to be a commonality between all the surrounding communities. As far as, what is that shore? And they're not even on the list. Lincoln Township, all of them, they come in here and fish. We got to look at boating lodging fees and all of that. We need to get with the federal government that owns that dock down there that doesn't care about it because it's falling apart. I mean, it's so many things that I've paid attention to that needs attention in our community or we're going to sink. Like the water ain't rising anyway. Who can swim? I can't. I told my husband, you need to move it closer to the back door. Whether the motor in it works or not. Paddle. But anyway, I just hope that everybody can broaden their thoughts and their minds and plan on working together for the common goal of the growth of our community, be a part of the solution, not the problem, and attend the meeting this weekend at Sinbad's gym on Jennings, 1 o'clock. Look forward to it.
Thank you, Commissioner Adams. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. I do appreciate everybody. Happy New Year to each and every one of you who stayed here this long tonight. I do want to just appreciate those new colleagues that we have. Those old colleagues that we have, I appreciate you too. Thankful for the leadership tonight on the trash issue, trying to get that rectified. Hopefully, with the leadership of Commissioner Singleton, we can look forward to figuring out a way to bring it either in-house or make it, at least get to your house, one way or another. I also want to thank one of the guys who raised me up, Spade, for being here tonight. He stayed here for a long time tonight. I appreciate him for being here. Just look up to him when I was growing up. He helped raise us. So, and my auntie here today, my Aunt Lisa, thank you for coming out tonight. I sure appreciate it. Good to see you too. Hopefully in the new year, 2020, and the police chief has been doing a good job, y'all. It's so good to see him tonight. I haven't seen him in a while. He had 6 months of vacation, so he's back. He's back. So hopefully we can do what's best for our residents. Avon Marsh, sometimes I think we whoop them a little bit, but thank you for stepping up to help better the drinking water. And hopefully we can start getting a couple interns here and there. I'm thankful because I do see Ben Harbor changing, but I hope we're included. I was in Chicago the other day, Mayor Mike piggyback on it, and Roosevelt Road ain't what it used to be. You can't go find JJ and Delma over there in Cabrini no more. Cause they all gone, moved out. And you never want it to be said that we didn't do the best we can, but it starts with education. We have enough recreation, but we need a little bit more education. And I pray for our city and I pray for those surrounding areas. When you have a president who is waging war against other countries, we have children from Benton Harbor who go to California, to go to Florida, and all over who can possibly be hit or struck if something does happen. So we pray for the security of our nation and our city. Because if something misses, wherever they're shooting from, you got a whole lot of nuclear plants around us. And if you remember around 9/11, they were catching quite a few of them around here with U-Haul trucks and all kind of stuff that was going on. So we can act like it don't exist, but we do need to pay attention. And hopefully we can get a disaster prepared plan that if something does happen, we can be ready. And one thing I realized, and I'm thankful for Commissioner Ruthie Harrison, one of our great missionaries in our church, that it's not all about you. When we take it off, the spotlight off me or what I can do, but it's really about this next generation who has no clue of what they're headed for. The jail's expanding. People are getting ready for what? More crime. So I pray that we're ready. I do appreciate your leadership, Mayor. And hopefully, and I do appreciate Mr. Mitchell, let me say this, hopefully we can have Mr. Mitchell around for another 10 to 20 years and get this city right where it needs to go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Seats. I'd like to thank all the residents for coming out this evening. I would just say have a blessed new year. Sometimes through circumstances, happiness is hard to find. But if we are trusting, as I'm sure our community is, and the good Lord, then we'll be able to get through whatever hardships that may come to our lives. I would like to say, as it relates to the Twin Cities Harbor Project, there's a such thing as Siamese twins, fraternal twins, and identical twins. And however St. Joe and Benton Harbor, wherever they fall into that, it's in the eyes of the beholder. Siamese twins are joined at the head or the arm or connected. We're connected by water, connected by a bridge. We're connected in many ways, but very different in appearance. So I would like to say that in terms of development, we need more water customers. Because if we talk about paying a loan back, we cannot leave it on the backs of the residents to pay back a loan. Lopsided where we have a bigger homestead than we have commercial. We have to be able to have streams of revenue that are balanced. Our housing is a major issue. We have to be able to attract all different types of professionals and persons from low income to middle income to high income, where the city of Benton Harbor can accommodate all. And one of the interesting things that I learned, and this was from a developer, that the city of Benton Harbor, this particular company, paid more in income tax than they paid in property tax. So the more development that we get in, not only will it bring property taxes, but it will bring in income tax. And the city cannot run off of arguing, fighting, cussing, fussing, lying. The city must run off of money. The city needs money. And I think that as the city manager stated, we're in a prime position to where we can be a part of not what old Benton Harbor looked like, but what new Benton Harbor is going to look like. So my grandmother, and I'm gonna close, she told me that the early bird gets the worm. But when I went to Chicago, they told me that the early pimp gets perm.
And the bird.
So we gotta be in front of everything that's happening. That's my point. We cannot be running behind, chasing the train while it's leaving, while we have opportunity to be at the head of it. This concludes, but we do have one last item that's for the city council to enter into a closed session regarding an update on the arbitration for former city manager Darwin Watson.
Make a motion to go into closed session.
There is a motion made by Commissioner Adams,
Ex-manager.
and it is supported by Mayor Pro Tem Seats, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Henderson?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yes.
Commissioner Edwards?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
Yes.
Mayor Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
you need my presence at the closed session.
That's a
I want a
attorney.
copy of that.
No, sir.
You want this?
Thank you, Attorney.
Yeah, that's true. Instead of using the better.
Yeah.
You didn't say nothing about no